see. What?
That's my new.
So negative.
Editor's one. Yeah.
Why is it no one?
Whatever.
So this is, all right. Are you guys ready?
Let's go ready, go.
Eric, are you ready? Yeah.
I'll wait for Eric to stop
Sorry.
texting or whatever.
I was teaching.
That's all right. Get out. Okay, cool. All right, so this packet is Editors 1,
Oh, God.
brought to you by the editors, including myself. Here we go, toss-up 1. The last section of this work examines various diseases and ends with a description of how bodies would be thrown onto pyres intended for others, causing civil strife. This work alleges that the mind and body are interconnected by a single substance, although the mind is composed of at least 3 substances, plus one more, which is quite nameless. In a section on sensations, this work imagines that the vision must operate via films that are ejected from objects into the eye, and proposes that embryonic material to make up children comes from both parents. This work hypothesizes that in the past, many species must have died out altogether, and that creatures with a double nature, such as centaurs, never existed. And its section on matter and space contains the famous assertion that the universe consists of indivisible atoms. That's 3 over here.
It's like on nature things.
That's right.
Yeah.
Good. I thought it was the yeah, it sounded cool.
Loves to talk about diseases. This author compared women to deer who range, busily seeking with a continual change. In his poem, They Flee From Me, for 10 points each. Named this English poet, who served as ambassador for Henry VIII and was briefly imprisoned in the Tower of London for having an affair with Anne Boleyn. He also wrote I Find No Peace and Whoso List to Hunt. Whoso List to Hunt.
We're going to say Raleigh.
It's Thomas Wyatt. Thomas Wyatt introduced this poetic form into English and translated many of the ones written by Petrarch, which are divided into an octave and a sestet. The first printed anthology of English poetry, Toddle's Miscellany, mainly consists of the poems of Wyatt and this author. He introduced the form of the Shakespearean sonnet and wrote Prisoned in Windsor after being jailed on accusations of treason from the family of James Seymour.
We don't know.
It's the Earl of Surrey or Henry Howard. Toss up 2. So that was 10 points on the bonus. Walter Stennes was expelled from this group after leading 2 failed revolts demanding higher pay and better supplies. In its early years, this organization, founded by Emil Maurice, competed against a similar group called the Organization Consul, or OC, which it later partially absorbed. Edmund Heinz was serving as deputy leader of this group when he died. This group took its name from a military formation used in the Hutier tactics during the Spring Offensive. One member of this group wrote an anthem that began with the words, "The flag on high," and which would be renamed for him after his 1929 assassination. That man was Horst Wessel. Leaders of this group, including Ernst Röhm, were killed during the night. That's 3 over here.
The essay?
That's right.
Yeah, good job, Patrick.
Bonus for you. Answer some questions about these so far unsuccessful attempts to formulate a quantum theory of gravity, for 10 points each. For a major problem writing down a covariant quantum field theory of gravity is that it ends up having this property in which ultraviolet divergences end up being non-removable from the theory.
So it's non-renormalizable? Like, non-renormalizable?
Indeed. This approach to quantizing gravity, pioneered by physicists like Lee Smolin and Abe Ashtekar, reformulates the Newtonian background as a spin network and quantizes the gravitational field in terms of its namesake closed force lines.
The thing that's not string theory, like loop quantum gravity.
That's right.
Yeah.
The namesake loops of LQG are quantized at this length scale, given by the square root of the quantity h bar times the universal gravitational constant divided by the q of the speed of light. It's named after the same scientist whose namesake distribution solves the problem of black body radiation.
Wow.
Yeah, that's 30 points. Toss up 3. One of this author's essays describes how deities such as Huitzilopochtli have been consigned to oblivion and begins by asking, where is the graveyard of dead gods? Another of this author's essays uses the brick houses around Pittsburgh as an example of the American libido for the ugly. This author translated Nietzsche's The Antichrist into English and included...
The Baltimore fucking editor always does like this.
Time. And translated The Antichrist into English and included his essay Puritanism as a Literary Force in a book of prefaces. He attacked the provincialism of the South in The Sahara of the Beaux-Arts. This This author defended the colorfulness of American slang in his 1919 study of spoken English, the American language, and co-founded the American Mercury with George G. Nathan. For 10 points, named this acerbic early 20th century American essayist and journalist known as the Sage of Baltimore.
Hazlitt.
No, it's Mencken.
Oh, wow. That's a better.
Well, the atheist.
Yeah.
No, I mean, by far, fucked it up.
I gave you time.
Yeah.
Toss up 4. Adam Elsheimer's version of this scene is unusually set at night and features a starry landscape with a full moon on the right. In Caravaggio's version of this scene, an angel with his back to the viewer.
Flight in Egypt.
Nice spot.
Oh, damn, it was.
Here's your bonus. For 10 points each, name these types of therapy. Therapists help clients fight against negative thoughts in order to change their actions in this type of therapy, in which clients are usually assigned homework. It is commonly used to treat anxiety.
Schooling or something. I don't know. Like schooling. I'm saying school.
It's cognitive behavioral therapy.
No.
Albert Ellis devised this type of therapy, which holds that people are unhappy because of their irrational beliefs and tries to help people change irrational beliefs into rational ones. It refers to the most common irrational beliefs as the 3 basic musts.
I don't know what
It's a hard
Yeah,
bonus.
we are not.
Okay.
CBT is really good.
This is rational emotive therapy. Michael White developed this therapy in which a patient tells a story to the therapist who deconstructs it using an externalizing conversation to separate the patient from his or her problem.
I don't think clients never ever get that as a really part of. We have.
This is called narrative
Yeah.
therapy. You get nothing.
I mean, I'm sure that's like super real.
No point.
That's nothing. Toss up 5. The adamantial ion provides some of the only structural evidence for this phenomenon. Bridgehead substituted bicyclic halides have been used to explore the relative effects of this phenomenon and the inductive effect. A silyl substituent greatly enhances ionization of the carbon atom beta to it through this mechanism. The anomeric effect is sometimes considered the negative version of this effect. This effect explains why the carbon-carbon single bond in propene is shorter than the carbon-carbon single bond in ethane. In propene, the bond takes on some of the double bond character through this mechanism. It is the principal mechanism for the stabilization of carbocations by alpha
Hyperconjugation.
That's right.
I agree. As you expect.
And you were rewarded. During the Dark Ages, this region was inhabited by a Germanic tribe called the Swabians, which explains why it shares its name with a region in Eastern Europe. For 10 points each, name this northwestern corner of Spain, which speaks a dialect very close to Portuguese.
Is it? Okay.
Galicia.
Yes. The Portuguese give the title of fundador, or founder, to this 12th century Reconquista leader. He was proclaimed King of Portugal after defeating the Moors at the Battle of Urique.
Sure. Say the name and then see. I'll pronounce it.
I'll prompt you.
No, it'd be way before that, like 7.
It's Alfonso Henriques.
Oh, damn.
Alfonso Henriques founded the House of Burgundy, the first Portuguese dynasty, which lasted for about 200 years, until this man founded the Aviz dynasty in 1385. He defeated Castile at the Battle of Aljubarrota.
Yeah, the guy who won algebra. Like, is it John the First? Something like Nathan First. John the First.
Yeah.
Sweet.
20 points. Toss up 6. This author wrote an epistolary novel which contrasts the messianic Mikel with the successful but abusive Midwest University professor Alex, both of whom are involved in the life of Ilana. In another of this author's novels, the retired protagonist tries to reconnect with his epileptic daughter Netta and attempts to make sense of the passing of his wife Ivria, who was electrocuted in Helsinki on a business trip. This author of To Know a Woman and the short story collection Scenes from a Village has also written such nonfiction as How to Cure a Fanatic. His first work of note is set against the background of the Suez War and describes the disintegrating marriage of the daydreaming Hannah Gonen. For 10 points,
That's
right.
Yeah, it was.
Amos Oz. Pull over.
Okay. This musician transcribed Gershwin's piano preludes and songs from Porgy and Bess for the violin. For 10 points each, named this violinist born in Vilnius, who became a household name in America in the first half of the 20th century because of his remarkable technical perfection, although critics often accused his playing of being overly cold.
Scott, Joachim. Do you have that? Joachim?
It's Jascha Heifetz.
Okay.
Many critics contrasted Heifetz's coldness with the warmth of this Viennese violinist, who composed Caprice Viennois and Tambourine Chinois. In 1935, he revealed that he had written the long-lost classics of composers such as Pugani that he claimed to have mysteriously discovered.
Yeah, we don't know. This is right. We don't know.
Some dude named Fritz Kreisler. In 1917, Heifetz made his American debut at this Manhattan concert venue, which opened in 1891. It was the home to the New York Philharmonic from 1892 to 1962.
Carnegie Hall, or is it going to be like Lincoln Center? Carnegie Hall.
That's right.
Okay.
You get 10 points.
Yep. I've got 10 points out of question.
7. A group of these creatures known as the Anirides were believed to cure skin diseases, and subgroups of these entities include the Elinomoe and the Crinae and the Avernales. The earliest known reference to one of these creatures concerns one of them named Abarbari, the lover of Bucolin. Eunychia, Malus, and Nicaea, 3 of these creatures who lived in Bithynia, caused Heracles to grieve when they kidnapped or drowned Hylas. Another of these creatures lived in the wood near Caria and joined her body to that of Hermaphroditus when he swam in her pool.
These are just like water nymphs.
I will prompt you.
Nereids.
No. Yeah, and joined her body to that of Hermaphroditus when he swam in her pool. She was Salmacis. Some of these figures were daughters of Achelous or other river gods, and they were thought to die when their ponds or springs dried up. For 10 points, name these divinities of fresh water who, along with Nereids and Oceanids, comprise the water nymphs.
Naiads.
That's right. I was instructed to prompt on water nymphs and not accept Nereids for as you can obviously.
It's not Boreas for the longest time. It's annoying.
Okay, here's your bonus. This verse is found within the famous Surah of the Cow for 10 points each. Name this most famous and widely memorized verse of the Quran, which describes how the power of Allah extends over heaven and earth.
The throne.
Yeah. The Surah of the Cow is also notable for stating that there's no compulsion in religion and that nobody can be forced to be a Muslim. This belief led to the formation of this poll tax on non-Muslims.
Jizya.
Muslims believe that not only that Allah has the power over heaven and earth, but also that He possesses this quality, often translated as oneness, but also encompassing the concept of uniqueness.
Tawheed, right? This is totally what YouTube says it is.
Okay.
This is the best rationalization ever. 30 points.
Yeah.
YouTube. Yeah.
Does YouTube ever lie? Clearly not. All right, toss-up 8. This algorithm can be modified to an adaptive form by increasing the step size when the error is too small and decreasing it when it is too large, leading the error to oscillate about the optimum value. The local truncation error for this algorithm is proportional to the interval being used raised to the power of 1 plus the order of the algorithm. The most common form of this algorithm is its 4th order variant, in which doubling the number of steps leads to...
Run cut it.
That's right.
Yeah. No.
How to solve differential equations numerically. For you. The centerpiece of this short story collection is a 3-part treatise on Taylor's dummies for 10 points each. Name this collection that centers on the narrator's father, Jacob, who is obsessed with birds and turns into a cockroach and finally a crab that is boiled and eaten.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I don't know if it's going on right now. Ted does.
Ted knows.
Ted, what is it?
Answer.
Street of Crocodiles.
That's right. The Street of Crocodiles is the masterpiece of this Polish Jew who also wrote Sanatorium under the sign of in the Hourglass before he was shot by the Gestapo.
Swedish Jew.
Polish Jew.
Polish Jew.
Pork.
Okay. Milo.
No.
Damn.
Not a Jew. It's Bruno Schultz.
Oh, yeah.
Schultz's story Cockroaches strongly resembles this novella by Kafka concerning the fate of Gregor Samsa. There you
It's
go.
on the list of put things I put in the dog.
You get 10 points.
You're gonna get to it. No, it's fine. It's just
Shut up.
it's funny.
Toss up 9. On Fridays, holders of this office participated in a ceremony called Riding Out, in which they traveled to a place of worship and accepted judicial appeals from citizens. Those in the presence of a holder of this office were required to perform proskinesis, or putting their forehead to the floor. Holders of this office were buried in the Church of the Holy Apostles. One holder of this office issued a law code called the Ikloga. Another holder was nicknamed the Dung Name.
Byzantine Emperor.
That's right.
Nice. Here we go.
Here's bonus for you. According to tradition, the Prophet Muhammad was born during this incident, for 10 points each. Name this incident in which the viceroy of Christian Ethiopia attacked Mecca using the namesake animal, but was miraculously prevented from destroying the Kaaba. Answer.
Yeah.
This is called the Year of the Elephant.
Oh,
The Ethiopians had a base in Arabia because they had conquered the Himyarite kingdom, which was based in this modern-day nation. It had grown rich through control of the frankincense and myrrh trade. Yep. Yemeni civilization was crippled when the Ethiopians destroyed this dam, which had made large-scale agriculture possible. This dam was not rebuilt until 1986.
Yeah, come on, geography. The sauna.
It's the Great Marib Dam. Okay, toss up 10, after which we will have a score check. According to the Meyerson-Satterthwaite theorem, this situation makes it impossible for trade mechanisms to maximize total value. James Mirrlees devised a model to determine the optimum income tax level under this situation. A paper co-authored by Michael Rothschild demonstrates that this situation prevents equilibrium in the insurance market. This situation gives rise to the principal agent problem, and according to Michael Spence, it can be ameliorated
Buzz.
Yes.
Asymmetric information.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I knew that was all right.
Yeah, that's
Here, Eric, I feel like this is a bonus for you.
Oh, God.
T-Bach and F-Mach are often
yeah.
used to fill this function for 10 points each. Name this type of chemical moiety which shields a reactive group from side reactions.
Protecting groups.
T-Bach is often used as a protecting group in these reactions where these molecules are a reactant. They can be synthesized in a method named for Strecker.
So amino acids.
When synthesizing amino acids, one can use these reagents, which are added as a temporary substituent to direct the diastereoselectivity of subsequent reactions, but which are removed before the final product. The Evans group uses oxazolidino
Chiral
derivative.
auxiliaries.
That's 30 points. All right.
170 for Penn, 65 for Harvard.
We have like the same number of
I have 60. I got 2 negs. Nariads and whatever toss-up 3 was. The Megan.
Yeah, Macon.
Yeah.
Wait.
I have 70.
Wait, what did you
Okay.
say?
Go through it.
10 and 10 make.
Do you actually have 70 or? Okay.
Okay.
Funny
yeah,
joke.
that was one.
Wait, what is
Wait,
How
wait,
many- how-
It's 160 to 7.
Yeah, it's
170 to 60.
176.
60.
60. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's
Did you
true.
miss-
Yeah, I missed an
missed
egg.
it.
Okay. So
It's like the
60.
most lopsided play.
Okay,
All right, here we go.
you guys ready for this? Yeah, all right. Here's toss below. Normal low-level activation of this pathway is termed tick-over and results from the cleavage of a thioester bond of one of its signaling components. The system's factor H acts as a this.
Compliment.
Thanks. Glad I didn't have to continue reading that. There's a lot of words in there. I don't know what that is, but it was the right answer. The Hungarian Lidurk, a monster that stalks people whose lovers have been absent for too long, can be easily identified because one of its legs resembles those of this type of creature, 10 points each. Name this animal. Geb, who was often depicted as this type of bird, was called the Great Cackler, and Brahma rode one of these.
Alright. Did he not? Eagle.
These are geese. The honks of wild geese are said to be the calls of the red-eared white hounds of this Welsh god of the dead.
Oh, around.
That should, I feel like that should be listed as an answer, but it's not for some reason.
Steven's an expert on this.
I'm pretty sure that's right.
Yeah.
What does it say?
It's on. It says on, but I'm pretty sure
Right.
Iran is an alternate.
Yeah, that's
name.
also.
I'm going to give it to you for now. If there's an issue, we'll consult it. Lidurk were born from eggs, much like the race of humans created by this Incan death god, who destroyed the humans created by Pachacamac.
Death god. It's not Viracocha. No, that's not.
Oh yeah, you guys are in the spotlight of the camera now.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Fucking camera. That's so much pressure.
Clearly, that was the problem. No, the correct answer is Vichama. You get 10 points. Okay, toss of 12. This author contrasted the fleet astronomer, nimble diver, and subtle chemist with poor man who searcheth round to find out death, but misseth life at hand in his poem Vanity. In another poem, this poet asked, who says that fiction's only in false hair becomes a verse, and is there in truth no beauty? John Donne dedicated his holy sonnets to this author's mother, Magdalene. The speaker of another of this author's poems declares, I struck the board and cried no more, I will abroad, before being calmed by a voice calling child and replying, my lord. He defended poetry by writing A Verse May Find Him Who a Sermon Flies, and wrote a poetry collection which includes his poem Jordan.
Herbert.
That's right.
Yeah.
I was thinking the whole time.
Jordan, parentheses 1. Okay, here's a bonus for you. One work by this thinker criticizes Judith Butler for not offering a positive political program. That work is an essay titled The Professor of Parody, for 10 points each. Identify this feminist philosopher who argued against the use of shame and disgust in her work Hiding from Humanity, and also authored Sex and Social Justice and Women in Human Development.
Because it's not Christina, it's not, Nelsie Sue. Sure. I don't know, it's not, like, Suzu.
No, it's Martha Nussbaum.
Yeah.
Initially a classicist, Nussbaum made her name with a book titled The Fragility of Goodness, which contains a chapter in which she defends the speech of Alcibiades from this Platonic dialogue set in the house of Agathon.
So it's just the symposium.
Yeah. Nussbaum teamed up with Amartya Sen to pioneer this approach to social theory, which holds that people's well-being and freedom are primarily predicated on their opportunities and the sorts of things they can do.
Capability.
That's right.
Yeah.
20 points.
I think I know this one.
Toss-up 13. After serving just one term, this man lost his seat in the House of Representatives to a candidate from the short-lived opposition party. He also lost a Senate seat to a Whig named Henry Geyer, but his political career was long enough for his autobiography to be titled 30 Years View. Good buzz. That's impressive buzz.
Oh, is it art toss up?
No,
What?
Okay.
There's 2 times.
Okay.
Anyway,
Sorry.
it's the politician, obviously, not the artist.
Not the artist.
Here's a bonus for you. Within segments, this axis is defined by segment polarity genes like engrailed and wingless for 10 points each. Name this axis, which is established early in Drosophila embryogenesis by gradients of genes like bicoid and nanos.
Crap. It's the one that goes from the head to the back. Anterior posterior. Anterior posterior.
That's right.
Okay.
These paired mesodermic structures form along the anterior-posterior axis during development. They form vertebrae, dermis, and skeletal muscle.
Vaginal discs.
That is not what I have. I have somites, or
Oh, no,
primitive
no.
segments.
That's probably right.
Okay. These genes specify which somite becomes which structure. They are expressed using they are expressed along the anterior-posterior axis and are the master regulators of body segment definition. Mutation of these genes, which include the Drosophila gene antennapedia, result in misplaced body features such as feet growing where antennae should be.
Hawks.
Yeah.
Talk about it, chicken so much.
Toss up 14. This composer's posthumously published works include his variations on the song Trochna Blumen for flute and piano. He was inspired by Boccherini to include 2 cellos in his only string quartet, which he composed just weeks before his death. In his final months, he composed his three last piano sonatas in the key of C minor, A major, and B flat major, as well as the song The Shepherd on the Rock. Joseph Joachim orchestrated this.
Brahms?
No.
I have
Okay,
one
fine.
too.
Joseph Joachim orchestrated this composer's sonata in C major for piano in 4 hands, which is nicknamed Grand Duo. His other works for piano include his Valses Sentimentales and Valses Noblesse, or Nobles, or whatever, as well as his 3 Marches Militaires. Robert Schumann discovered the score of this composer's 9th Symphony, which is known as the Great C Major for 10 points, named this Austrian composer of the string quartet Death and the Maiden, whose 8th Symphony is nicknamed Unfinished.
I didn't want to fuck it up.
Lewis Carroll inspired an author from this movement to collect nonsense verse in works like Abel Table and Pagladashu for 10 points each. Name this 19th and early 20th century literary movement spearheaded by men like Michael Madhusudan Dutt and Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyay, who coined the national song Vande Mataram.
Yeah, we're in India right now. I think Bangladesh, so we're also there.
I don't know.
What you got for me?
New Indian literature.
No. It's the Bengali Renaissance.
That was guessable.
It was guessable. You were on the right track. Sukumar was the patriarch of this family involved in the Bengali Renaissance. His son wrote some popular stories about the detective Feluda and Professor Shanku and created works like The Chess Players and Distant Thunder.
Distant Thunder. Okay.
Wow.
No, it's Ray.
Oh crap. Yeah.
This author was heavily involved in the Bengal Renaissance. He portrayed the Swadeshi movement in The Home in the World and wrote the poetry collection Gitanjali.
Why didn't I know about this? I'm gonna learn this like right now.
You're insufficiently Bengali, apparently.
Both of us are. Like,
Both of you guys. Shame to
You'll
your
get that next
land of
Bengali
origin.
Renaissance bonus about 5 years from now.
All right. That was 10 points. Toss up 15. The Ziji Sultani is an astronomical table produced at this city's observatory, which was one of the finest in the world until destroyed in 1449 by religious fanatics. The city was formerly based around a hilly area called the Afrasiyab, which is now a ruin. The city is home to the Shah-e-Zinda complex of royal tombs. The city's central square is called the Registan, where you can find the massive Bibi Qaim Mosque. Until 1868, the city was home to the Uthman Quran, the oldest in the world. The city's Gur-e-Amir is the mausoleum of the ruler who brought the city to its greatest prominence. That ruler allegedly brought 90 elephant loads of treasure to the city from his sack of Delhi. For 10 points, named this former capital of Tamerlane. That's 2 over here. Yes. Bonus for you. This artist painted a 1698 self-portrait in a turban, as well as a double portrait of his mother, Marie Serre. For 10 points each, name this artist, the leading French portrait painter of the late 17th and early 18th century, along with Nicolas de la Gruyere. Fascinating. That's Hyacinth Rigaud. Rigaud painted a full-length swagger portrait of this French king, who also ordered the construction of Versailles. That's why.
I had to analyze this fucking painting.
In the late 19th century, this American artist painted many swagger portraits, including ones depicting the family members of Asher Wertheimer. He also painted Ellen Terry as Lady Macbeth and a seated portrait of John D. Rockefeller.
Andre.
Say it.
Robert Andre.
No, it's John Singer Sargent.
Really, like, not a good time. Another, like,
Toss up 10. I mean, sorry, that was 10 points on the bonus. Toss up 16. Let's do a score check.
I have 1. Wait, how much did they get in the last one?
They got 10 points on the bonus.
So 105 for Harvard.
Yep.
240 for Penn.
Okay.
there's 5,000 points.
There are 5 toss-ups remaining. Toss-up 16. From 1907 to 1911, Theodore Van Erp led the effort to restore this structure using anastylosis. In 1885, J.W. Eiserman discovered this structure's hidden foot, which depicts scenes of torture and murder. Philip Beale constructed a working replica of a double outrigger ship depicted on this structure's reliefs. Pilgrims to the site pass through gates featuring the Kalamakara motif while walking in an upward spiral around its terraces, which for many years were covered in ash from Mount Merapi. Located on Kedu Plain, the structure is divided into 3 levels representing the world of matter, Kamadhatu, the world of forms, Rapadhatu, and the world of formlessness, Arupadhatu. Built by the Sailendra dynasty, it contains nearly... that's 5 over here.
Borobudur?
That's right. Bonus for you. One holder of this office sparked the May 16th crisis when he dismissed the prime minister, replaced him with a monarchist, and unilaterally dissolved parliament. For 10 points each, name this head of state position that existed from 1871 to 1940, whose notable holders included the General Patrice McMahon.
President of the Republic. President
I'll prompt.
of France.
I'll prompt again. Yes. The French Third Republic was founded by this man who also put down the Paris Commune.
Pierre. Are we sure about this? Pierre.
Yes. The Third Republic saw the passage of these 1881 to 1882 laws, which created public schools and made secular education mandatory. They're named for the anti-clerical politician who sponsored them.
Sam fucking loves this guy. Like, it's the Falk laws.
No, it's Jules Ferry
Jules
laws.
Ferry laws. Yeah. He's gonna like kill us.
Okay, you get 20 points. Toss up 17. This empire was defeated at the Battle of Male, which stopped its expansion south. This empire's, or possibly Mal, I don't know. This empire's society was organized around kinship groups called Ailu. The Wanka Confederation was an alliance of city-states against this empire. Residents of this empire could be drafted for 15 days to run messages between cities. It is.
Yeah. We're in Negrin. It's 270 to 105. So you can get a maximum of 160 points. So
Shut up. Here's a bonus for you. At the end of the novel, he appears, and this character declines Maria Gostre's proposal of marriage for 10 points each. Name this character who journeys from Massachusetts to Paris after his fiancée asks him to seek out her son, Chad Newsom.
Okay, it's the Henry James guy.
Is this
Strather.
Yes. Lambert Strather is the protagonist of this author's novel, The Ambassadors. He also wrote about the contrast between Europe and America in Daisy Miller and Portrait of a Lady. This book by Wayne Booth emphasizes the importance of reflectors in the work of Henry James. It coined the term implied author, an unreliable narrator.
It's irony. Is it just like irony? The concept of irony?
No, it's the rhetoric of fiction.
Right. Oh yeah, I really get that.
Okay, you got 20 points. Toss up 18 coming. This quantity defines the maximum value of a modification to the Coulomb collision operator known as the Coulomb logarithm. The product of this quantity with the wave vector controls the degree of energy transfer between resonant particles and a propagating wave. This value can be obtained by considering a quasi-neutral Maxwell-Boltzmann system, solving its Poisson equation, and identifying this quantity with the characteristic length scale of the resultant exponential of minus the distance. This number is proportional to the square root of temperature over mass times the inverse of the plasma frequency, and its cube times the density gives the typical number of particles within its namesake sphere.
eye length.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the sphere of radius of eye length.
That's right. Your bonus. Answer the following about the metallurgy of steel for 10 points each. With 4.3% carbon, molten steel solidifies into a mixture of austenite, deburite, and cementite. Such a phase change, which occurs for the composition with the lowest melting point and produces multiple solid phases, is known by this term.
Eutectic.
At 0.18% carbon and 2,718 degrees Fahrenheit, steel undergoes this type of transition, where a mixture of one solid phase and the liquid phase changes to a different solid phase. In the case of steel, delta iron and the liquid alloy change to austenite.
Eutectoid is the only other thing.
Well,
Eutectoid.
paratectic reaction.
Damn.
This extremely hard and brittle form of steel is not shown on the equilibrium phase diagram, as it is formed by rapid quenching of the steel so that the iron and carbon atoms do not have time to diffuse into the equilibrium phase. What you got for me?
Supercritical steel.
This is called Martensite.
Oh.
Okay, toss up you got 10 points, toss up 19. A companion of this character orders the construction of a Trojan horse-like sow filled with cooks, which enables this character to defeat the wild chitterlings. This character resolves a dispute between the lords Kissbreach and Suckfist, and later visits the court of Judge...
Probably the Nurge?
No.
Sorry.
Then later visits the course of Judge Bridal Goose, who determines cases by throwing dice. He defeats Loup Garou in single combat in order to conquer the Dipsides, who had earlier invaded Utopia. His attendants include Carpalin and Epistemon, who accompany him on a voyage to Bakbuk, where he visits the Oracle of the Holy Bottle. His birth results in the death of his mother Badabek, and in the third book of the novel he appears in, he offers advice on marriage to his friend Panurge. For 10 points, name this giant created by Francois Rabelais, the son of Gargantua.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but then I got clever.
You thought too hard. You thought too hard. Here's your bonus. Identify these types of warships for 10 points each. In the early 20th century, European navies began building this advanced class of warship named for a revolutionary British ship launched in 1906. That's right. The U.S. Navy's Arleigh Burke and Zumwalt class ships are examples of this type of small, fast surface ship. They were originally designed to hunt down torpedo boats and submarines.
Okay, destroyer.
Yes. The American Ohio-class submarine and the Russian Delta and Typhoon-class submarines are examples of these large submarines designed to carry long-range nuclear warheads.
So, like, nuclear or something? Like, they're the ones that launch nuclear weapons. Like,
Nuclear's how they're powered. I don't know what they're saying.
Answer?
nuclear submarine.
No. It's a ballistic missile submarine or SSBN or boomers.
Yeah.
Okay, last toss-up. So that was 20 for you. Last toss-up. The place where this man had his first religious experience is home to the 6 witness trees, which are old enough to have been there when it happened. That place is called the Sacred Grove. During another experience, this man heard the voices of the apostles Peter, James, and John in the woods, announcing the reestablishment of the Melchizedek priesthood. In another event, this man and a companion saw a man descend from heaven and anoint them before introducing himself as John the Baptist. In this man's first vision, both God and Jesus appeared and told him that all existing churches were wrong. Shocking. In this man's most famous vision, he was told that the sword of Laban was on Cumorah Hill by the angel Moroni.
Joseph Smith, that's right.
Sounds like that.
Everybody else is wrong. No way.
Yeah.
How could that
I'm not
happen?
thinking a lot of angels. Yeah. Probably should go straight for existing religion.
This political movement elected Victor Berger to Congress, and its name refers to its members' habit of praising their city's sanitation system for 10 points each. Name this early 20th century political movement in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, associated with the namesake left-wing Third Party.
Sewer socialism.
The Sewer Socialist elected this man mayor of Milwaukee in 1910. He was the first socialist mayor in American history, and Eugene Debs running mate in 1912.
Oh yeah.
Answer?
Thomas.
No, it's Emile Seidel.
Oh, Seidel.
In 1924, the Socialist Party declined to run its own presidential ticket and instead endorsed Robert La Follette, the candidate of this political party. Another party of this name nominated Henry Wallace.
Progressive.
Yeah, 20 points.
More from like an argument problem?
What?
No, I'm trying to figure out what the discard problem was.
I like water.
Corridor.
Boil.